Hi there, I'm Dr. Shiroko Sokitch, owner of Heart to Heart Medical Center and the author of the best-selling book, Healing When It Seems Impossible, 7 Keys to Defy the Odds. Excuse me, and I'm here tonight to talk to you about traveling as things begin to open up again and people are going to getting more vaccinated and being able to travel again. Things are getting more exciting. So I wanted to just share with you some of my thoughts about traveling. If you've been vaccinated, it's now going to be possible to go to Europe in the summer if you can prove it. And so for the people who have been, that's nice. But still, going on a long plane flight might be considered a little bit tricky, because it always was, even before there was any such a thing as a pandemic. So I'm going to talk about what I do when I travel on airplanes, and what I have always done, but of course kind of increased it after all of the things that have happened in the last year. So one of the things is that there was some research last March, I think, where they studied airplanes and checked, the level of dirtiness and the level of bacteria in the seats and around the seats where people are sitting. And it really brought my awareness to the fact that our seats are the seats on airplanes aren't very clean, and that even if they've cleaned a lot, you might want to just clean the area. So if I haven't traveled in a year, but what I have begun to do is I use sanitizing wipes, and I take them with me on the plane, and I use the EO wipes. They're made with lavender oil and they smell nice. But you can also buy EO spray, or you can use any other kind of hand sanitizer. There's another company, Young Living Essential Oils, that makes a thieves essential or a sanitizer, and it smells really good, and it's nice on an airplane because things can get kind of funky smelling on an airplane. So what I do is I wipe down the whole area around my seat, so the trays and the seat back, and you can't obviously wipe down the cloth of the seat, but you can take you can actually buy or bring some paper covers for your seat and cover that, or you could just wear clothing that you take off and then later wash, so that you're not sitting in bacteria or whatever else might be in the seat. And then wash your hands well periodically. I don't like the soaps that they have in the airplane bathrooms or in any public restrooms, so I always carry my wipes with me. And these come in these little packages like this. So they look like this, and there's 10 towelettes in here, and they're a nice size, and so I buy those and I carry them with me. Now, always on an airplane, again, there's recirculated air, and there has always been a risk for getting sick when you're flying. So this is not just about traveling in these times with the virus traveling around, but also for any other kinds of travel. When you're in an airplane and you're breathing recirculated air, you want to take extra good care of your immune system. So before traveling, you want to, make sure that you're eating well and getting plenty of rest. If you're traveling across to Europe or some really long flight, you want to make sure you're well rested before you fly. And then when you're on the plane, get as much rest as you can. I have a terrible time sleeping on airplanes. So thank you for pulling over, Marilyn. I just saw you. Hi. I'm happy that you pulled over. Feel free to say hi and ask me any questions too while you're here, because we don't have to just talk about this. But so the other thing is making sure that you have enough vitamin D and vitamin C. And in the last year, so I used to always just take those things with me and make sure that I stayed well hydrated and took my supplements while I was on the plane and drink. Oh, hi, Lorenzo. How nice to see you. Yay. So there is a product now that's called Immunecharge, and it's super cool because it has these little shots of vitamins, and you could just take one of these, and these are called liposomal, and liposomal vitamins actually absorb inside your mouth, and so that when you take them, you hold them in your mouth for 30 seconds, and then they also absorb through your fat cells, so they're more absorbable than just taking pills. And this has 10,000 IUs of vitamin D, 2,000 of vitamin C, and then it has A, E, K, and elderberry. And elderberry is super good for your immune system, as are all these other vitamins. And these vitamins and supplements have actually been studied in relation to viruses. We won't name the particular virus that we're speaking of at the moment. They're great because, like, if you're going to take a long flight, you would take 2 of these during a long flight, or if it was a relatively shorter, like 3 to 5 hour flight, then you might just take one on the flight, and then maybe when you land you take another one. And the whole idea is to just really give your immune system a boost so that that it feels protected. I did take one trip last year when everything was locked, or kind of when things were less locked down, but I flew on a plane to Seattle, and I took these every day. I took one a day, unless, because when I'm on vacation, I like to eat foods that maybe aren't necessarily the best, so I had to I took those a little extra just to make sure that my immune system stayed happy. And then there's another supplement that I really like a lot for helping your immune system and for actually allergies, and this is called D-Hist. And this supplement has in it quercetin and N-acetylcysteine, and both of those have been researched in relation to viruses, to helping support your immune system in fighting off viruses. And one question is it only for going on trips? No, you can take it at any time. Like, I took these Immunecharge during when I got the vaccine, and it helped me not have as much trouble with the vaccine. Although I did get sick with the vaccine, which was not that much fun. And D-Hist 2 is really good for allergies. It's my favorite allergy supplement, actually. It makes the symptoms kind of go away as if you took an antihistamine without all the side effects of antihistamines. And it helps support your mast cells and actually helps your immune system function better. So no, you don't have to save it for just going on trips, but I am today talking about trips. So, and so these two things together are really perfect for, like, when you're traveling. There are many other things, like if you're traveling to a third world country, one of the things that I tell people to do is to take Pepto-Bismol with them, because Pepto-Bismol in the tablet form protects, like if you get traveler's diarrhea, what happens is the pink bubbles of the of the Pepto-Bismol, the pinkness is bismuth, and it wraps around bacteria and actually drags the bacteria out of your guts. And so it's a nice thing to take if you're going to get traveler's diarrhea. And quick fix, although it does make your stool black, and sometimes your tongue turns black as well. Another thing that is really good for travel, or not for travel, but also as we're coming up into fire season, is glutathione. And this is my own glutathione, but there are many others available. Glutathione is the master antioxidant for our bodies, and it is I'm going to just explain briefly, just in case you don't know what an antioxidant is. Antioxidants protect you against free radicals, and free radicals are particles that our bodies are just like our human selves, that we don't like to be single, and neither do our bodies. And the molecules in our bodies, when they get split up, and there's a molecule that's single, and it's looking for something to pair with, and an antioxidant is a molecule that comes along and pairs with a free radical and protects you from the damage that a free radical would do if it's looking for something to pair with. Now, The analogy is if you cut an apple and the apple starts to turn brown, that is a free radical reaction that's happening. Or lettuce as it's beginning to wilt. Those are free radical reactions, and antioxidants protect against that. And there's millions of molecules that are antioxidants, but glutathione is sort of the master one in your body. And the thing that glutathione also does is every single time that you're exposed to one molecule, or that you detoxify one molecule of a chemical, then you use up one molecule of glutathione. And your body's detoxification pathways have many different steps, but this is one of the most important steps, and it helps you basically detoxify. Now, glutathione is high in sulfur, so people who are sensitive to sulfur might not be able to tolerate it, so just pay attention to that. And again, keep in mind that anything that I say here, I am not your doctor. I am not giving you medical advice. I'm just giving some suggestions on ways that you can take care of yourself in times where your body might be more stressed. And times when you're traveling are times that your body might be more stressed. So I'm just talking about that. Now, there are other simple things that you can do. Like I said, you could drink plenty of water. And on a flight, sometimes that's hard, because when you get into the airport, you can't bring your water through the check-in. And then once you get into the other side in San Francisco, that's nice where I live. But in other places, they don't have water available except if you buy bottled water. And I don't know if you've noticed, but they're not real good about bringing bottles of water or water to you when you're on a plane. It's usually not enough hydration. And then, of course, not wanting to use the bathroom. So you might want to just get on the plane already really hydrated, and then make sure you're hydrated really, really well if it's not too long a flight when you get off. Because a lot of people, when they sit on a plane, they don't want to get up and go to those bathrooms, and I don't blame you. So you can find other ways to stay hydrated. So one thing you could do is just drink plenty of water beforehand, and then when you get off the plane, just really, really rehydrate yourself well, and do it that way. So those are my current recommendations for when you're flying. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them here. I'm super happy to be here talking to you. Okay, and I'm just going to think about a couple more things. Sleep. If you're flying to another time zone and you have trouble sleeping, that's one of the things that is challenging for people. So another thing to keep in mind is when you're flying to a new time zone, there are things you can do, like taking melatonin. And they say 1 milligram of melatonin for every hour of time change. But there are other things that you can do that are natural and more grounding. So first of all, when you get to the new time zone, try to adapt as quickly as possible. So whatever it takes, like let's say you're going from here to Europe, and that's an 8 or 9 hour time difference. So you may leave here at like midnight, and then the next morning, you arrive there. Let's see, if you leave here at midnight, you arrive there in the afternoon, and it'd be almost bedtime, and you may have slept the whole time that you were on the flight. Well, so when you get there and it's bedtime there, just go to bed then, and if you can, then just take melatonin. If you can't fall asleep, just take melatonin so that you can get to sleep, but do your best to fit into the time that you're moving to. Another thing that helps is something called earthing, and there's several ways to do that. There are special blankets and special sheets you can buy that are called earthing sheets that help you ground into the place that you're in. But another thing to do is just to go outside and put your feet on the ground of wherever you are. And ideally, and I don't know what place you'd be, but ideally what you do is you take off your shoes and put your feet in the grass, and just kind of stand there for a minute. Like first thing in the morning is ideal. So when you get up first thing in the morning, go outside, put your feet in the ground there, and just kind of ground yourself in the place that you are in. Question about if you can get products from me. Yes, you can. You just call my office, Lorenzo. My office will be happy to help you. and we'll even send it to you. So, and so getting grounded in a new time zone is really valuable. Also, again, continuing to stay hydrated and sticking to the time zone that you're in. So when you come home, for me, it's always harder when I come home with the going over to Europe and then coming back here. I have a harder time with the time change, probably because when I'm here, I'm home and I can just kind of let myself struggle with it a little bit. But same thing, when you come home, you do the same thing. You get yourself grounded in the time zone you're in, go to bed at the same time that you would expect. So if you've been up for 24 hours and then you still have a whole day to exist, do that. Just keep functioning and go to bed at the right time for your bedtime. So usually if you're flying from Europe, you're coming here and you'll land, you'll have been up for like 12 or 14 hours and then or even longer, and then you'll land here and you'll still have a whole day. And it may end up being like 36 hours before you get to go to sleep, but still try to stay awake so that when you go to bed, you hit the sack kind of, and you can acclimatize yourself to the space that you're in. And again, put your feet in the ground outside. So if you're doing it that way, where you land here in the morning, then take off your shoes and put your feet in the grass and just walk around a little bit, so to kind of ground yourself even though you may be exhausted, and then keep eating well. Another thing that really helps is if you don't eat a lot of junk food and a lot of sugar and things like that. And of course, when we're on vacation, a lot of us want to eat those kind of foods, but try not to, because that will help you feel better. Okay, well, I'm going to sign off now in just a minute. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to ask them. It's so nice to see you guys. And I'm really happy to be able to help you in any way that I can. All right. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.